Hey everyone, I'm Kloo. So first off, while this is a box opening, it's not the typical format you might see. It's more of a sorting video. But I will be sure to show off any Majestics, Legendaries, or Cold Wars I find, and they should be located in the center of the screen. Everything else is being sorted by its type in terms of its hero class. Other than that, we will be using this time to discuss a few things, and a forewarning, like everything on the internet, take it with a grain of salt, and everything is my own opinion, but I would love to hear yours. Okay, so on the agenda today, we're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering. And yeah, I know I'm opening Flesh and Blood, but I'm talking about Magic. Don't like it? That's fine. You can mute the video or skip to the end if you're just interested in the cards. And of course, if this isn't the type of video for you, no worries. Other than that, there are a few things I do want to discuss with Magic before I put it to bed, so to speak. And then after that, I do want to just do Flesh and Blood content. So first off, I would consider myself an average consumer of Magic the Gathering. But the more I think about the current direction Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro are taking with the game, the more I find myself comparing it to alternatives, namely Flesh and Blood. And the more you think about the direction these two companies are taking, the way they've responded to, say, community outrage and opinion, the more I realize that Wizards or WotC died a very long time ago, even before I myself took up Magic the Gathering. And the more this thought occurs, the more I think about who I want to give my money to, who I want to support, invest in, and essentially bet on in terms of the company's future. Well, currently that decision is pretty crystal clear. Now, I'm not saying Magic is dead. It is very much alive and kicking, despite any current dogma and the direction Hasbro is taking. So, first off, let's talk about the current opinions of Hasbro, as well as the suggestions that a lot of people seem to be giving out. So, the leading thought is Magic is dying. Hasbro has tanked the product's credibility and success in return for a short-term gain, and everyone is being told to boycott and vote with their wallets. While I do agree with a lot of these sentiments, hence why I am moving more into Flesh and Blood, I do have various issues with all three sentiments I just listed. So first off, is Magic dying? Well, in a broader sense, no. It's Hasbro's major product line. It is still selling no matter what people say. It is a stream worth $1 billion, as they indicated. And of course, this means that they will continue to market it accordingly. And by this, I mean that they will essentially market it to a newer audience, with no concern for anyone invested in, say, the secondary market. In a local or personal sense, yes, Magic is dead. It's been dying for a long time. In-person play is down, publicized box openings are down, and for the most part, Magic is returning to a hobbyist style of game, which, in my opinion, is a far better market for Hasbro anyway. Any form of local support, and in terms a wider competitive scene, does not impact the sales to a valuable degree for Hasbro. At its very best, it is a form of marketing. Think about it. Anyone who plays at a tournament in any sense, be it at a local store or a wider competition, where do they get their cards? They don't open boxes, and they definitely don't get their singles straight from Hasbro. If you owned the company yourself, would you continue to support these events? Would you continue to dump a lot of money in this form of marketing to essentially push your consumer base towards the secondary market, a market you yourself have relatively no stake in? Now, I'm not saying that everyone who plays Magic in a broader sense doesn't open boxes, but it is widely advocated that if you're in need of singles, you don't buy boxes. You go and you buy the singles you need and you save money in the long run. So this type of mentality towards competitive play is essentially what Hasbro is trying to weed out. They want to set the game back to a hobbyist mentality where you're playing in a casual sense and you and a group of friends will go out, pick up a few boxes, play together locally, rather than going out and buying the singles you need to compete competitively, which then has led to the current direction Hasbro is taking, and the current outlook that essentially Hasbro is pimping out Magic. Really? You really think so? Rudy himself said it, the current sets are good. The issue is pricing, distribution, and current market bloat. And while Hasbro has been handling these issues in a not so great way, if we stop to sort of think about it, there might actually be a rational thought in there. So, with pricing for instance, in order to charge more, they have to create something worth charging more for. Hence, we get extended art, etched, textured, special frames, serialized, and so on. What we view as an oversaturation is actually testing for Hasbro. Every set, they alter something. They either add more varieties, or they tweak the pull rates, and in this sense, we can either view it as Hasbro having no idea and just smashing in random cards into a set, random varieties, or, more realistically, since it is a billion-dollar company, they are testing and refining what they can get away with and what they can sell to a larger growing audience. Essentially, they want to create hype, and the easiest way to do that is to introduce something at a low scarcity. For instance, take extended art, and then in the newer sets, introduce that scarcity item in a larger variety. So in later sets after, say, Throne of Eldraine, we had extended arts in a lot more slots and a lot easier to pull. This meant that people who saw Throne of Eldraine and wanted these specialized or alternative varieties of cards now realize that instead of going and buying, they have a decent chance to pull them if they buy a box themselves. They are trying to re-engineer the market away from people buying singles, and that includes these collectible varieties. They want the player to understand that they have a better chance now to get something that was at one point a scarcity. Therefore, they're trying to fabricate and engineer a consumer demand for their product through this introduction of a scarcity variation and then introducing it at a higher volume in the next set. As for market bloat, well, Hasbro is again using a very similar idea. Every set has a larger theme that is excluded from the general lore of Magic, something that someone newer to Magic could latch onto rather than being overwhelmed by the direct lore that old school players might be attracted to. For instance, Eldraine, Fairy Tales, Neon Dynasty, Cyberpunk, Brothers War, Transformers. Wait, what? No, but seriously, even with Transformers, it's still a valid point. They made a lore-heavy set in Brothers War, and then added an outside theme that a new audience could latch onto and want to collect. They are not trying to keep the older player base happy, at least not the majority of it. They are trying to create products that a portion of this older player base can be excited about, be happy to buy, but they are also trying to create products that can attract a newer, larger audience, an audience of people who do not have the exposure to the secondary market that these older players do have. An audience more likely to give the majority of their money to Hasbro, rather than going out, playing, becoming competitive, and therefore buying singles and giving their money to people who represent the secondary market, a market Hasbro has no direct affiliation with. As for distribution, their rationale should be the clearest. Hasbro is trying to absorb distribution costs and profits through either direct consumer products or larger deals with Amazon. Again, why should they concern themselves with the secondary market, be it the reselling of cards or sealed boxes? In all fairness, this is a direct competition to Hasbro. So of course they're going to make moves that disturb the secondary market, and it's my opinion that their larger goal is to redefine their consumer base through, again, attracting newer people at the risk of turning away older players, so that they can have a consumer base that is reliant on them for their product rather than the secondary market. They made the main course, and now guess what? They want some dessert for themselves. They want to cash in on the secondary market in any way possible. I would not be surprised if we saw a direct from Hasbro full set in the next 1 to 2 years. And I would very much say that the 30th year anniversary is a direct test for exactly that. Or at the very least, we might see a full partnership with Amazon in terms of warehouse storage and fulfillment. It's just the smartest move that they can make to increase their profits. I may not be happy with it, and I certainly don't support it, but it is what's happening, and it's just what a billion-dollar company does. They refine every aspect they possibly can to increase their profits. They've already done product lines, and now they're just refining whatever they can to oppose the secondary market and unearth all the revenue that's buried there. And again, in my opinion, all of these decisions make complete sense from a large company's perspective. As for the last thing, it's unfortunate to say, but you don't have the power, I don't have the power, not even Rudy would have enough power to change Hasbro's direction. You can't boycott this company to get it to change. It's just unfeasible for a company like Hasbro to remarket, redesign, or reprint an already developed product. And guess what? Any product you know of coming to market or being publicized in any way has already been developed and will not undergo any drastic change in any form. Even the price point has been factored in to the next product line or the product line after that. These companies work off of their metric data, and this metric data is used well in advance to calculate, develop, and market their new products. It is a system that no matter how you vote with your wallet, you will not see any direct change to. Anything that might change is only going to be changed further down the line. We're talking sets that haven't been announced. Now, there's nothing really else for me to say, so I just want you to take a minute. And I want you to just try and picture yourself as a Wizards employee, someone who has dedicated their life to this game, to developing it, bringing new innovations to it, someone who loves this game. How do you think they might feel? There is so much backlash going at not just Hasbro, but mainly Wizards and their direction. It is not their direction. Magic the Gathering is developed by Wizards, but it is not owned by Wizards. Hasbro will do everything in its power to make this game as profitable as possible, regardless of any backlash. And you can see this, it's starting to take its toll. You watch any of the advertisements, especially, for instance, the 30th year anniversary, that YouTube clip, you can see it on their faces. Wizards is not happy with the choices Hasbro is making, but again, sadly, there's nothing they can do about it. So, to tie it back into Flesh and Blood, we can see that without this hold from a multi-billion-dollar company like Hasbro, a game can be developed with a lot of love and a lot of direct influence from its community. And sadly, we're just no longer at that point with Magic the Gathering. It is long past the days where the public had any strong opinion or the ability to directly affect the game. If this isn't a game you're happy with, then the only thing you can do for yourself is leave. There's nothing you can directly do to change it, and it will not be fixed. This is my strong opinion, and why I, myself, am being more enticed towards Flesh and Blood than continuing to collect, open, and even play Magic. It's just not the game it used to be, and it's been a long time since it was. Wizards is dead. Long live Hasbro, I guess.